Yeah.
keeping in mind.
Right. Cool. So let's have a look now at Spurs first. Their attacking numbers now, since this is for game week 26 and 27. So Spurs are on top for XG non-penalty and minutes per big chance over the last two matches. Now, the minutes per big chance is the stat I really want to pay more attention to because, right, the other numbers might be slightly distorted because of the double, right? Certain teams had the double, some didn't, but they're, and this is something we haven't seen from Spurs the few weeks prior to this. So Bale has definitely had a transformational effect on that team in terms of the chances they create. And like, is that Spurs triple up in attack on the cards?
Yeah, I don't see no reason not to do it. And what you do is when one of these big hitters come back in form, let's say you sold Salah for a Bale. Uh, by the way, it's completely okay to sell Salah. I think I just wanted to mention this from a gameplay state point where a lot of people, and that's one of my myths with FPL actually, where a lot of people are so scared to sell these big assets. Let's say you sell him, let's say Salah scores a hat trick, you can buy him back. FPL allows you to get the player back next week as long as you're admitting it was a mistake and okay, you experimented and you want to get him back. People should not forget that because there is so much fear when it comes to selling these big assets, and people forget that okay, you can buy it back in one game week as well. So you shouldn't have so much fear when it comes to selling these big hitters. Sorry, I went on a little tangent there, but I just wanted to mention that because it pisses me off where people are so scared to sell assets if they're convinced about the thinking behind making such a move. That's all.
Right. But in that case, you probably need to retain the same structure and not spread the cash around. The problem
Yeah.
happens is when you move that cash around to your defense, goalkeeper, and stuff like that, and sticky positions.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah, more on the Spurs triple up. I still think it's a bit overkill because I know their stats over the past 3 are great, but it's important to note that Spurs historically this season have been much better as an attacking force at home, and two of the three fixtures included in the sample size were against Burnley and Crystal Palace, who were two of the most obliging defenses away from home. So I won't read too much into this at the moment. I still think having two is enough. I still think tripling up is a bit overkill. I think this was the time to do it before the Palace game, and now that match hasn't, it's gone. The boat has sailed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't expect the next two games against Arsenal and Villa to be as high scoring as their games against Burnley or Palace, for that matter.
Who would you rather have at 10 million Bakar? I want to ask you that question.
I'm keeping Salah and not getting Bale. So
Yeah, I understand, but if somebody has an option on wildcard, let's say, I get it. I mean, there's a lot of again stigma associated with going for 2 or 3 attackers. So if it's an attack in form, even if it's a short-term move, I see no reason.
I mean, okay, if someone's on wildcard, I'm assuming that they're likely to have three big hitters, right? So I'd still prefer Kane, Salah, Bruno. Let me put it that way.
Interesting. I'd definitely go triple Spurs because of the extra game, and then move them out into the people on form.
Should it really influence your thinking whether you own the other two? We've talked about basket wasting so many times.
Exactly.
On the pod,
Exactly.
right? I mean, if he's a good option, he's a good option irrespective of whether you own the other guys or not.
Yeah, exactly. So many
It's
times.
just that I don't expect Spurs to go big in the next two fixtures. I don't see those games to be high scoring.
Do they need to go big? City can score 5 goals in a game, and you'll have Jesus scoring 1 goal, you'll have Foden scoring 1 goal, you'll have Bilva scoring 1 goal, you'll have Gundogan scoring 1 goal, and you'll have John Stones scoring 1 goal from the header. When it comes to Spurs, though, it's going to be these three that are going to be involved. That's a thing worth mentioning. Where even if they're not going big, the goal involvement rate, and you can put your money on that these three are going to be involved.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Fair enough. All right.
Right. Now let's just have a look at the stats individually for the players, how they've performed over the last 2 game weeks. And this is something you had mentioned earlier, Bakar. Kane is far away on top for shots in the box with 7, and for big chances, and for shots on target. But this is what really drew my attention: shots in the 6-yard box. Bale has had 3 over 3 matches now. Those are the chances, like, where the player is the highest likelihood to score. And you see Son has had Son has had 0.
And if I'm not mistaken, Zoff, I think all 3 of those were goals.
Let me
Were they?
remember.
I think so.
Probably
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
remember him missing a big
Yeah,
chance.
twice against Palace.
twice, but I think the Burnley goal wasn't like from the 6-yard box, right? The one
No,
that
the
he
first one. The first one that Son assisted to Bale, that was
yeah,
right
that
inside
was,
the
but
six.
not the one which he finessed into the left corner. That wasn't.
Yeah, but all the 3 shots inside the box were goals, right? Sorry, shots inside the 6-yard box.
How many goals did he score? 4?
Yeah,
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 then you're right.
yeah.
So you still guys think I should get Son over Bale after looking at these numbers?
I'll give you my answer after the Europa League lineup.
Fair enough. That's a good point. That's a great point. If Bale plays 20 minutes and if Son plays 70, I go Bale.
I think so because Son will play regardless, right? Son is a workhorse.
Yeah, Son will
so
play regardless,
Son
but
will
if
play-
he's
but
managing,
but managing Bale there, then I think you can definitely lump on for the Arsenal game.
all right, fair enough. Bakar, what do you reckon?
I still think I prefer Son,
Fair enough.
just
fair
for
enough.
the fact that he's going to play, for the majority of the game, and that's just I think it's very close, but that's just the deciding factor for me.
No, I do get where you're coming from because Son is such a good player. The team is scoring goals. Somehow or the other, he is going to be involved in it.
Agreed. I was actually talking to Baker, who does a pod as well, and he's a Spurs fan, and he told me that don't expect Bale to play more than 60-65 minutes in the league. But statistically speaking, if Spurs are, it also depends on game management, right, and what the state of the game is at the time. If Spurs are drawing or not winning at the point, Bale is going to play for 15-20 minutes more. Mourinho is going to try pulling him a little further. And if Spurs are winning comfortably, don't expect Spurs to attack incessantly. They're going to drop off. Mourinho is going to sit back and protect the league. So also in terms of game management, this is a factor worth considering as well.
We saw it in the Fulham game.
Yeah,
The last
exactly.
30-40 minutes didn't really commitment forward. So something worth mentioning also in terms of expected goal involvement, there's not much of a difference between Bale and Son. It's 2.31 versus 2.2. So it's not necessarily like you definitely shouldn't make a sideways switch if what you're considering. But Kane is head and shoulders above in terms of numbers, your assist, XG, non-penalty, goal involvement. Kane is probably the must-have heavy hitter right now in the game. And
He's the best big hitter in the game at the moment.
his first goal, I think, against who was it? The game week 27. The first goal against Palace was a thing of beauty. The curve into the corner just shows that he's in another level of confidence. He's back to fitness, and you need Harry Kane.
Another point I'd like to make on Son, which we haven't discussed yet, is that now that he's creating so many chances, he's doing much better for bonus as well. So whenever he's likely to get a couple of assists or maybe even one assist, he can come out of the game with bonus, which I think is very underrated. And the fact that he's going to get the majority of the minutes and bonus potential is something which, in my opinion, swings it in his favor.
Also, Kane's now in a golden boot race, so he's going to go for it.
How many has he got now?
He's just one behind
17, I think.
17.
So he's not far off Salah then.
One behind Salah.
16,
So Salah's on 18 and Bruno and Kane are on 17, I think. So these three are in the golden boot race as well, and it's going to play on all three of their minds. They're the kind of players who pay attention to this kind of stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Kane more so than anybody else.
Yeah, Kane is on 16, Salah's on 17.
There you go.
Bruno's on 16 as well.
Exactly.
So all three guys are guys who you expect to pay attention to those.
And that's something you pay attention to, right? Like when you talk about factors that you look for in the end of the season run, the golden boot race, the relegation race, the teams that have nothing to play for and the teams are motivated to play for something. And Spurs are right now ticking a lot of boxes. Kane is ticking the most boxes. So
Yeah, remember that season where I think he got 7 goals in the last 2 games?
crazy. Absolutely crazy.
That was unreal.
All right. Let's move on.
Let's move on now to Arsenal.
Did you just before that, 1 second? Is Reggie a good pick? 5.5 million. He's doing fair bit in attack. Just thought we should address that. That's all.
Yeah, that's a good point actually, and I think he's very unique in terms of what he provides. Because I think one of you guys had mentioned he allows Son to go inside and he maintains the width on that side. And I think Davies actually might be preferred in the Europa League going forward. So I think he's probably set it up now by benching Reggie on against Fulham.
Yeah. So I think the best piece of advice that we can give our listeners, who are no doubt going to bring in a West Ham or a Arsenal or a Leeds or a Spurs player in this week, is wait for the lineups on Thursday night and then make your moves. That's it. Let's see who's going to be rested. Then you can understand. You can try getting insight into the manager's head and then make your moves accordingly.
Right. Let's have a look now at Arsenal. Arsenal have actually been posting decent attacking